Hello and welcome, and I'm going to talk more about sports gambling, the edges, calculated such, investing, gambling. They're both the same. For you can lose, you can win. You can go in as a favorite or have an edge, or go in as an underdog and have a disadvantage. Earlier, I was talking about a thing in Ontario called pools. This is where you pick every team on the board, basically, or most teams if there's a lot. That's basically in baseball. They might not play some games. But, however, you played pretty much the whole board. You get them all right. You win. And all people who get perfect share whatever the prize pool is. And I was stating, you go against the consensus, you're going to work out pretty well. So what I took tonight, I took the Capitals to beat the Senators. That was, to me, I didn't like Ottawa's chances much at all after what happened to them last night. Off a back-to-back, bad teams are usually bad on a back-to-back, and they blew it at the end. They had the lead after two, and they blew it. And they lost a key defenseman on that team as well. So that's just not good for them. Montreal, Tampa. I mean, I'm kind of wishing I took Montreal now, but I think Tampa can come back, and I got Tampa there. Hey, I got my over 7.5 and then some. I figured the over/under should have been 8, and I originally thought 8.5 when I did my analysis on it. I also took Philadelphia. I figured that's just a game. I have to take the better team, and I thought Philly was the play. Buffalo, whenever I can take a home underdog, especially because obviously I'm going against Toronto. So a lot of Toronto backers might take Buffalo, but Islander backers, a lot of them will take Boston. So I'm trying to get a ticket that's as unique as possible for the highest payout as possible. So I took the Islanders. I took the Rangers over the Predators. Predators are playing like crap. So there's another game where if I put this combo together, I can take anybody I want the rest of the way. I took the Dallas Stars against the Detroit Red Wings. I need the Blues to come back, but there's lots of time left. Just 2 minutes into the second. Took the St. Louis Blues. They're playing much better. Obviously, I'm taking the Blackhawks there. That's just a strong play. I'm taking the Anaheim Ducks here and the Calgary Flames. So I have a realistic shot now, but again, I need some help here. Ottawa or the Tampa Bay game has to work here. This game has to hold. This game has to hold. I mean, this game's going to win. I should easily get my spread on this too. And we have this game is just anyone's game, as is this one. 3 that haven't started yet, and this needs a comeback. So the chances are never that great, but I like to play them because if it gets to the point where maybe an hour and a half goes by, if I'm still alive, I'm going to be pretty enthusiastic just to be able to have a shot at winning something you're not supposed to. You're really risking tiny, like, well, it's $5 bet to win. Well, what I would figure to be a few $1,000s if it comes through. And I like to pay it for such the situation. And anyone who's been following my selections today, they have been just phenomenal, as there was a winner here. 2 losers in the afternoon with the Jets and the Kings. And a winner here. This is going to come down the end here. It's going to be a winner here most likely. And now we're just going to come down to this game here with Chicago. And then, of course, the World Juniors was a big winner as well. And that's the big one right there. As well, of course, the hockey metagame. And when looking at sports betting in itself, you can say when you're able to calculate the odds, try to find them in your favor. Are you a sports handicapper or a teacher? And I say this because over the last 20 or so years, I've stated the reason why the smart sports bettors will win in the long term is because they really, what the big problem they say with the players is we play too many games. But they're playing too many games. They're putting lines out like crazy. And if they make any mistakes whatsoever, well, that's going to cost them. And that's why I use a teacher role. Because like a teacher that corrects a test, that's their job. Look at the results. Did they get the right answers or the wrong answers? If they got the right answers, you give them the check mark, you grade it, all that kind of stuff. And then in some cases where you grade answers on a level like scale, like 0 to 100 or whatever, and B plus C, is it a B plus, A minus, is it a D, is it an F? And that's important because when you make mistakes, then you have to correct it. And that's how you get paid in this business. For when they make a mistake on a line of some sort, and you see that they've made that mistake, you got to correct that. They made a mistake within, of course, this hockey game, the Denmark hockey game, and I corrected their mistake. And when I'm grading easy mathematics, I mean, I learned this stuff in grade 7, 8, definitely by 9. WP multiply not 1G. Okay. Win percentage multiply not one goal victory. Or the chances of winning multiply that the chances there will be that of the one goal variety, not two, or the two goal variety rather. So therefore, let's just assume in a hockey game that you have a team that's got a, let's do numbers. We'll start off with the 50%, and then we'll work our way at a different number. 50% chance. Now, if you realize, we'll say that if they happen to win the game, what's the chances that it's going to either be an overtime game, with an overtime win, of course, only, or that of a regulation one-goal game? In determining overtime games, you really have to not go by a different, more analysis, who's the favorite in overtime, by what degree, and then on the two-goal margin, how teams react when they're up or down by a goal in those situations, and the likelihood of that. So in some cases, it might only be, if they win 50-50, that they're going to win by 2. And in some cases, it might be even closer to 70 or more. So if it's, say, 63%, then you would multiply 0.5 by 0.63. So using a calculator, it's going to be 31.5% chances that they would win by 2. I can 1x it, and the decimal odds would be 3.17. So my fair odds would be plus 217. And it's not uncommon that maybe they think the same as you, that it's a 50-50 shot. So both teams are minus 110, or it's around the like. Someone's minus 106, someone's minus 113, regardless of the fact. There's a small favorite either way. And yet the puck line, they might have plus 240, plus 245, because, well, are they saying it's a lower percentage chance? I mean, you might have got this one wrong. You really might have got that wrong. And that's really what I'm thinking that is the case. I can tell within their odds when they're going to correct it, so I'll know when they adjust the lines, if and whenever they do. I mean, I'm predicting that this is going to last for the rest of the season, getting the 1.5s, the same ratio as they have been the past many years, which will change in years moving forward as they adjust to the message of the market. That's the thing I learned in trading. Always adjust to the message of the market. And if they're not able to do it, I am. And when I look at trend analysis, this is why I don't like playing in October. Even early November kind of sucks. I was a little late this year getting in, and I was just feeling like it's fun to do. It's something else to do. But when you have the trends, I use like a front-weighted type of analysis. Therefore, I'm going to be really concerned about the last 3 games more than all the other ones. Over the last 10, I'm going to be most concerned about the 3 of the 10, but these will still matter. And let's just say they played 35 in here. I'm going to still be using this as a full season basis to some sort of mean on how teams do in whichever situations I'm looking for. And understanding how the current streaks, so I weigh most heavy to this, and as time goes on, I'll still count it, but use it less frequently. I'm not caring so much about revenge, depending on the situation, from something a long time ago. as obviously things change within every team. And I guess good news and bad news. I need a big comeback here now, as Pittsburgh has scored twice more. But Chicago scored first. That's good. I got the money line play on Chicago, and they're up to an early 1-0 lead, and still 5-4 in the Montreal game. And Toronto, the 1.5 should come through. And with these wins and losing days, the one thing I have learned is always keep things in perspective. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, and you're gonna need days like this to handle the bad days that'll come. But a day when you're able to pick games on a day and you just get most of them right, especially with the plus 2, 3, 4, 500 prices I've been taking all day, then you're going to get some good payouts. But there's going to be times where I can have a day where I have 8 games and I might get 0 or 1 or 2 right at those times, especially at those prices. And days like this would be able to basically pay for those because you're going to have variants of good days and bad days. So keep yourself in check on positive and negative days is always important. And I think also being in that zone, however you want to call that, also, and I think for the first time in that type of zone, for it's very similar to how it was within when I was playing poker years ago, and I was in the zone at the casino when you were making the bets out. You were sharp with your reads, sharp with the amount, sharp in all of the different activities, and that is something that I'm working towards doing. And that's another reason or biggest reason for that matter, why I decided to just increase my stakes a little bit today. And it's a good day to start doing such. And that is going to be what you see when you find the zone, you take it. Now next I'm presenting a chart which shows the NHL goals a game since 1933, 1934, so about 85 years. So for now, I'll be putting the years in a graph later on. I'm going to go back even further. So I'm at the late Pioneer days. It's the Pioneer days. And then it's the formation of the original six, the secondary six, then becomes expansion 1, expansion 2, new generation. So the old one is when teams were coming in and out all the time. There were a handful of teams in these early days, and there wasn't as many goals, scoring under 5 goals a game. And then I'm guessing the 8-goal year, I've got to check to see what happened on that. I'm guessing it might be the forward pass year where they made that legal. Same thing like in football. I don't know what the rules were if you passed it backwards, but I heard that was the case. And it came back down to the mean of a 5. And then this is 60 years ago, so we're talking at this stage the arrival of the likes of first the Gordie Howe's and the Maurice Richard era. And then as it picked up, breaking out past that 5.5 level around the 29-30, that was the Bobby Hall. Moving into the likes of the great players on Boston and Montreal, Bobby Orr being on Boston, Guy Lafleur. And then as we moved up to the 8 number, that's when guys like Wayne Gretzky were entering the league in the early 1980s. And that's when I started watching the game. So I was watching the best hockey at the start. But it was funny watching the goalies back there in the upper part when it was over 7.5 in the middle of the chart. Not only did they look tiny, but they were terrible position. The defense was just horrible back then. And 7-5 games were very common. Obviously, the average was 8 for many years, or close to it, 7-8, 7-9. And then it continued in a downtrend as the trap years came in. So expansion brought it up, and then they moved into a 21-team league throughout 1980s into the 90s. The second expansion team, and the goals were just going down to this 5 level either. And that bottom year was the year when the Anaheim Ducks and the New Jersey Devils were in the Stanley Cup Finals. and bookmakers were having totals. I think, did it go to force flat? And I was like crazy. I mean, over unders at 4 for the Stanley Cup Finals that year. It was, and I was thinking I still like the under, and I think it was a 2-1 game or 2-0 game. I didn't bet it, but I was like, how can I go over 4 goals? I remember thinking back then. And then the big rise up, that was after the one season lockout, and that brought in the rules to basically make the trap more difficult or less reliable, with the 2-line pass and other things of the like got changed. But then players adjusted to such. That's why I'm interested here to hear, because the fundamentals of the game changed and that brought it up. And then it came back down to 5.5 in the mean, sort of like it did in rows like around 21, 22. So now what I'm looking here, I find this very interesting. That the resistance right in here. Are we breaking out? And is it possible that we see some of these levels increase? If it does, the first to the party, understanding what's going on, are the ones that are going to profit. And that's what I think what I'm doing here with this laying a goal and a half on like over and over and over again. And I'm going to continue on doing so until they can get their test done correctly, school assignment. But it's been breaking it. Now, what has changed? Well, one of the things that changed last season, and this is funny to say this for rules, they didn't really make a rule, but they kind of did. They made a rule that they're going to start calling the rule of the just some like slashing and stuff that wasn't called. They're just going to start calling what they weren't calling. And last year we started to see an increase, and it's going further this year. So as we move into the 20s and into even the 30s, is this going to be working its way back up into the 7-8 area moving forward? I think at least for now it's not going to slow down. I think at least it's going to stabilize into our yearly mean for the rest of this year. And then as we move forward, then there's a chance that we could be seeing games even more wild than this. And if that's the case, then these plays should only be getting stronger and stronger. Or the likelihood of a team winning by 2 in these spots continuing to go up and up. And thus, if they're unable to adjust the payout, then I'm going to be able to keep on playing the puck line like I am now. It's very fortunate that I'm able to do this with relatively low viewerships. If it remains such, the selections, I can keep doing this because I like the fact that I really can't move the line. That's what's really good about that. And because of such, I can be able to go on here and just explain a lot of these things. Because if there was like a lot of people watching this, I mean, next thing you know, oh my goodness, the plus 165 line I used to get in the 1.5s now plus 140 or 135, and now I can't bet it. Because that's going to have to come at some point. And thank you for tuning in. And I'll be back later on. Again, let me just get a quick update on the games going on right now. And the Blackhawks have added another, so that's sweet. That's good to see. But I lost with the Buffalo Sabres. That's fine. And the Islanders, that's good. I mean, how did the Leafs score 3? I would like to see them score 2, though, because I did take a prop bet for the before to 2, but 5:29 left. It's unlikely to happen. But getting the Tampa game, getting the Toronto game, and hopefully getting the Chicago one in here, going 3-1 on the nightcap after going 1-2 in the afternoon, and just hitting both key plays on the World Juniors, that's very good. So again, tomorrow, not much looking forward. I've looked at things like the Ontario Hockey League and the American Hockey League. Problem there is it's much tougher because the juice is higher, as it should be, because, and this is one subject I needed to talk about, I can speak now of. The juice is their grace, or, for example, if they're a little wrong, they're still right. Meaning, if they're saying, oh, there's a 60% chance this happens, and it's really 57 or 63, well, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it because You're only get like maybe you think, oh, I got a fair line of 1 + 1 15, and they're only offering you +108. Well, it's a bad move to take that bet now. And the higher the juice, then the more wrong they have to be for you to be able to take a play on such an event. Okay, so have yourself a great day. Bye bye.